In this video, we'll discuss how to configure Airflow to execute your Coalesce jobs, as well as setting up a simple DAG to run your Coalesce pipelines. For the purposes of this video, we will assume that you have a basic Airflow web server already running. Additionally, we will assume you have already created a Coalesce job for your data pipeline and have deployed that job to an environment you wish to refresh. The first thing we will do to configure Airflow to execute our jobs is to create two variables. To do this, navigate to the Admin tab within Airflow and select Variables. Create a new variable by selecting the blue plus button. We will name the first variable Airflow var Coalesce token. The value of this variable will be our Coalesce access token found in the deploy interface of Coalesce. We can copy and paste this value into Airflow and select Save. We'll create one more variable called Airflow var Snowflake private key. This variable will store a private key to be used with key pair authentication within Snowflake. You will need to generate a public and private key from your terminal to use key pair authentication and assign the public key to a user within Snowflake. The private key you generate will be the value for the variable we have created here. It is important to note that when passing your private key into the Airflow variable, you will need to manually assign a new line character at the end of each line, or a \n. For additional information about generating keys for key pair authentication, you can view the Snowflake documentation. With our variables configured, we can now open an IDE in order to develop our Airflow DAG. You can see I have a simple Airflow project that has a DAGs folder. We will create a new file and include the code seen here. This code is setting some default arguments for the DAG. Next, we will give the DAG a name and description. Within the execute API call command, we are configuring the API call for the DAG to trigger a Coalesce run. Specifically, you can see in the run details the Coalesce parameters we need to configure. In this case, we are providing an environment ID, which can be obtained from the deploy interface. And we are including a job ID, which can be obtained from the jobs section on the left sidebar of the build interface. With these details set, the DAG executes the API call, and we can see the two variables that we configured in Airflow are passed through to the parameters of the API call. Airflow will trigger the job, and we can see in the deploy interface of Coalesce that a refresh job has kicked off. This Airflow DAG can be used to trigger single jobs by simply replacing the environment and job IDs from the run details. For more information about using Airflow as a scheduler for Coalesce, you can view the Coalesce documentation or file a support request at help.coalesce.io.